guys, so today's video is going to be another Best in Beauty video, and today we are going to be talking about primers, foundations, concealers, powders, and setting sprays. So we are going to be talking about the rest of my face products. So I really wanted to talk about foundations and concealers this year because I tried a lot of actually really good foundations this year. I found some of my favorite foundations I've ever tried this year. I tried quite a few new foundations to me this year. So I'm going to talk about those ones first. I tried about 6 new foundations this year, which is kind of crazy to me. I'm actually surprised I tried more foundations than I did concealers this year, because you would think in 2020, since we weren't really going to many places and we weren't really going out anywhere, that I would not be trying as many foundations as I did. But I did cut my foundation collection down quite a lot during this year because there was a lot of foundations that I either didn't like anymore, or they were mostly expired foundations that I got rid of. So I cut my foundation collection in half because, again, like, I really didn't need too many foundations this year, because where were we going? We weren't really going anywhere. So let's start with foundations first, because I really want to talk about foundations. So basically my top affordable brand, as you guys know, is ColourPop, but I think ColourPop really killed it with complexion products this year. Like, I found some of my all-time favorite foundations from them this year. I think that these are even better than their no filter line. I think that they absolutely killed it with their Pretty Fresh line, and I have to talk about these two products first because these just blew me away. And I would say, like, my most used face product this year, hands down, was the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Tinted Moisturizer. I used this to death. As soon as I got it, I used it so much. I think I used it the whole week when I got it. And this has been the one product that I could not put down this year. It's just the easiest product for me to use for a day-to-day basis. I use it at least 2 or 3 times a week, especially when I'm not working, or if I just need to throw something on for a video, I'll always reach for this because it's the lightest weight product that I have. But they absolutely killed it with these products this year. And this product is just so beautiful on the skin. It just gives you such a beautiful light coverage, but it's not like a typical tinted moisturizer formula. It doesn't feel like a typical tinted moisturizer, if you guys know what I'm talking about. A tinted moisturizer always almost feels a little bit thick, and it doesn't give as much coverage, obviously, as like a lightweight foundation would. But this is like, if it's like gives you the coverage of like a really light coverage foundation, but it gives you the most beautiful complexion, and it gives you such a healthy looking complexion. And this plays so beautifully with other concealers. When you put this on as a base product and you put like another concealer on top, especially like a concealer that like might have more coverage than this, it just adds like such a beautiful layer of a little bit more coverage when you put this on first and then you put a concealer on top. Like, it doesn't like compete with like the concealer, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't like give too little coverage for the concealer to take over. So that's why I really love this product. So this is the hyaluronic acid tinted moisturizer in the shade Fair 2W. As you can see, I've used this a ton. The cap is so messy, but I absolutely love this. This is definitely my favorite tinted moisturizer I've ever used, besides like that Urban Decay One and Done. Oh my god, I love that. That was like my all-time favorite. I used that all the way up, but I don't think it's going to be hard for me to use this all the way up. It's pretty low. But yeah, I love this so much. I use it so much, and I can't recommend their face products enough. I think that they killed it this year. So this one is definitely my #1 favorite, most used like foundation type of product this year. I absolutely love it, and I used this to death. And then, of course, I have to mention, this is probably my favorite foundation I tried this year because it's so gorgeous on the skin. So this is the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Hydrating Foundation. it's really hard for me to fall in love with a foundation when I first use it. Like sometimes I have to test it out a couple of times before I know I love it. This, as soon as I put it on for the first time, I'm like, my skin looks amazing. It gives you like this amazingly healthy, beautiful looking glow to your skin. And it just makes it look. This is like my most skin like foundation I own, besides like the Anastasia. But like this has just like of similar coverage to the Anastasia. I almost think they're dupes for each other. And this is just so gorgeous on the skin. I absolutely love this. So this is in the shade Fair 05W. I think I'm in the same shade. I'm in like the lightest shade and everything because I'm so pale. But this product is just amazing. Again, it's become my favorite foundation from ColourPop, hands down. And these two products are just phenomenal. I think they killed it with their Pretty Fresh line. I haven't really heard too many negative things about the Pretty Fresh line. A lot of people love this line because it really is fantastic. And I highly recommend you just try one thing from it. But I see all different ages, all different age groups of women really love this line. So I've seen mature women try it. I've seen younger women try it. I've seen, women my age try it, and a lot of women love it. So I think that they killed it with this and they hit the nail on the head because a lot of women love this line. So yeah, love these. Amazing. Can't talk about them enough. They're just so stunning on the skin. I absolutely love them. Okay, so now when it comes to, let's just talk about the other affordable foundation I tried this year. And what's funny is that I only tried one drugstore foundation this year. I just really, again, was very picky with the foundations that I tried this year and the foundations that I decided to purchase over other ones because, again, I wasn't sure how much I was going to actually get use out of foundation this year. So I was very picky with the ones that I bought. But this one I was still going back to, and I finally just decided to pick it up like a few months ago. So this is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Dewy Foundation. I love this foundation, you guys. I know a lot of people love the original Photo Focus. That was never really my jam. It's a nice foundation and it works. It's a good foundation, but I don't think it's amazing. It's good. But I'm not like, oh my God, ride or die love. I really love this foundation. It's so gorgeous on the skin. I'm in the shade Porcelain Fair, and I know a lot of people don't like this because it does fade easily. Like for me, I don't mind that. I mean, not fade that easily, but I know like after a few hours this isn't going to last as long as like say another foundation. Like that has more coverage than this, but I love this because it's such a beautiful light coverage, and you guys know I love these types of foundations. I'm that type of person that loves like a light to medium coverage foundation because I love dewy foundations, and this was just screaming my name because I'm like, it's dewy, I need to try it, I need it in my life, and it's beautiful. I love it. I love this for light makeup days. It's just so easy to apply. I just have to mention though that Wet n Wild, can you please change your damn packaging for this, because this is like the worst packaging I've ever seen for a foundation. That spatula applicator gets absolutely everywhere if you're not careful enough with it. Like if I'm in a rush, this is such a hard foundation to apply because if I'm not careful with the spatula, it'll fall all over it'll fall on my jeans, it'll fall on my sweater, it'll fall on my shirt. Like I don't know how many times that has actually happened and I've had to change my jeans before work. So annoying. So I typically don't use this for work. I use it for when I go to my boyfriend's house because I don't really use like lighter coverage foundations for work. I like wearing out like my more fuller coverage foundations because I'm not really wearing them anywhere else besides work right now. So yeah, beautiful on the skin. Some people don't love this foundation. A lot of people love the original one, but I loved this one. It's so beautiful. So definitely love that. But that was the only drugstore foundation I tried this year. And then the rest of the foundations I tried this year were high-end. But I only tried 3 high-end foundations this year because, again, I wasn't going to go crazy with foundation because where are we going? So the first one, again, a lot of people don't love this foundation, but I love this foundation. So this is the Bite Change Maker Supercharged Micellar Foundation. I'm pretty sure that this foundation came out back in February. It looks like I've used quite a lot of this too, so I think that the Pretty Fresh and the Bite were definitely like my most used foundations this year. I loved this foundation too, you guys. For every day, I'm actually wearing this one today. It is a bit drying on my skin right now, but I'm not sure if that's because of the primer that I used. I'm a little bit iffy about the primer that I've been using lately. But this is gorgeous. Like, I'm looking at my skin right now, and I can just see that it looks like my skin. Like, I have wrinkles, I have fine lines, I'm getting older, but that doesn't mean that this foundation isn't beautiful. It makes my complexion look so pretty. So I'm in the shade L10, and I like this foundation because it's a very unique formula to me. Like I said, this feels more like a tinted moisturizer. And like the formula, like when you squeeze it out, looks like a tinted moisturizer as compared to this one, which is a lot more liquidy, which is very interesting to me. But this has more coverage than the Pretty Fresh because this is a foundation, and I just love it on the skin. I think it's beautiful. I know like Bite's skin line didn't really fly with a lot of people, but I really loved it. More people loved the powder. A lot of people didn't really love the primer and the foundation, but they loved the powder. I loved the foundation, so I thought that this was gorgeous on the skin. I really like it. So if you have like less problematic skin and like a dry skin type, I think you would really love this. So loved that. And then another brand that really took the makeup world by storm is Selena Gomez's line Rare Beauty. And of course, I had to try a couple of products from her line. At first, I wasn't going to try anything. Then I was like, you know, I kind of am intrigued to try a couple products from her. And I'm so glad I did because this foundation became one of my favorites this year. And this is the pretty much all the foundations I tried this year I ended up loving. So I guess I made some pretty smart foundation choices this year because these are all the foundations I tried this year and I loved all of them. So that's saying something. So this is the Rare Beauty, I forget what the real name of this is because it doesn't say on the bottle, but it's just, you know, she only has one foundation in her line anyway. So this is the Rare Beauty foundation in the shade 110N. Again, such a beautiful everyday foundation, but I kind of like that this is buildable and you can build it and it gives you a really beautiful coverage. This kind of has a little bit more of like a very like watery soft matte finish. I would say it feels so nice on the skin and it just makes my skin look so beautiful, and I really did love this. There was a phase where I was just wearing this for like a week and I loved it. I kept on going back to it and I was like, I guess I love this foundation because I really couldn't put it down for a little while, and it was my go-to foundation for a little while. I haven't used it in a little bit, but that doesn't mean I don't love it because I was just like not even really wearing foundation in quarantine. So and then I just started wearing foundation regularly again when I went back to work this weekend. So it will make in my rotation this week, but I love it. I think it's a great foundation, great everyday foundation. I know some people didn't like it, but I think for less mature skin or younger complexions, I think that this is a great foundation. And then the last one, which is of course the most bougie, and I was back and forth with this foundation so much, and then Debbie pretty much convinced me to buy this foundation every time that she would use it and talk about it and rave about it, and I'm like, fine, I guess I'll buy it. But I waited until the Sephora VIB sale, so at least I could get 20% off of it, because it's definitely expensive. So this is the Pat McGrath Labs Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation in the shade Light 1. I really like this foundation, but I'm not in love with it. I actually love all the other foundations I mentioned more than this one, but this is a really, really good foundation. I really like it a lot. But as far as my other high-end foundations, I like some a little bit more, but it makes your skin look beautiful. And I really like it on my skin, but it just can look a bit drying. But I think that this is good for multiple different skin types as well. And it makes your skin really pretty. So I really liked it, not in love with it. especially for the price. I was hoping to fall in love with it, but it's not like it's something that I don't like. Because if I don't like a foundation, especially one that's this expensive, I will return it. I will not have it sitting in my collection for me to not use it. There's no point. That is such a waste of money to me. And Sephora can afford to lose the money over me. Like, they're a $1 billion company, and I don't know why people keep like bad foundations or like bad product. I mean, I understand like they make products I regret buying videos and stuff like that. But if I'm going to regret a purchase that was like $60, I'm not going to keep it in my collection. I'll just mention it in a video that I didn't like it if I do like a disappointing products video. Because I'm like, I'm not going to have that sit in my collection and waste the money and let it go expired. I'm like, there's no point for me to do that. So that's just my mentality. I know other people are different, but I just don't see the point of keeping it if I'm not going to use it and I spent $70 on it. Like, that's insane. So, really good foundation. I will definitely try and use this up this year. I think that's going to be one of my goals. But yeah, I haven't really been able to use up too many foundations this year because, again, I didn't wear it as often. But this was beautiful. And then I just have a couple of favorites that that are tried and true foundations for me, and these are holy grail. So I just want to mention these again because I did use these a ton again this year. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to my Anastasia Beverly Hills Luminous Foundation. This is such a gorgeous foundation on the skin, you guys. I love this foundation so much. This is still pretty much my holy grail foundation. Every time I use it, my skin looks absolutely stunning. And I actually turned on quite a few people to this foundation. I forget who tried it Chip ended up liking it. I think that she tried it because I recommended it to her, and I think a couple other people did. And then I think I recommended it to a couple of other people. And I found out later that they ended up trying it because of me, and they did really like it. So it's gorgeous. I love it. I'm in the shade 110C. Don't really have much else to say about it. It's stunning. And then the other one, of course, is my Kogendo Aqua Luminous Foundation. This is my most expensive foundation in my collection besides the Pat McGrath. But I absolutely love and adore this foundation so much. This is like my all-time favorite everyday foundation. It is just so stunning on the skin. It makes your skin look absolutely gorgeous and youthful and beautiful. And I think it's because of all the skincare benefits that's in it. But again, it is a pricey foundation, so I would recommend waiting until the 20% off Sephora sale so you can save a little bit of coin on it. But I love it so much. I'm trying to use it up. I'm getting there. I think all that's left is like what's here. So there's not too much left. So I think I will use it up soon. I've had this for like a year or so already, so I'm hoping I'll use it up this year. But it's definitely like one of my most used everyday foundations. Love it so much. And I'm in the shade 012. I just love it. And then the last foundation. So I didn't really try. I don't think I tried any new stick foundations to me this year. I just didn't really find any that intrigued me to try. But I just wanted to mention my favorite stick foundation from last year. And I'll mention it again this year because I really do love this stick foundation. The only other stick foundation I think I have in my collection still now is the No Filter. I used up the Bare Minerals, which I absolutely loved that one, and I mentioned that in my last Best in Beauty. But I decluttered the Wet n Wild and the Makeup Forever because the Wet n Wild went bad a lot faster than the Makeup Forever, and the Makeup Forever was just too old for me to keep anymore. But this was definitely my favorite stick foundation this past year. I just didn't try any other ones. And this is the Milk Makeup Flex Foundation, Cream Flex Foundation stick. Or maybe the shade's Cream. The Milk Makeup Flex Foundation stick in the shade Cream, I guess. This is just so stunning. It's just such a creamy foundation for it to be a stick foundation. And it just glides on the skin and blends out beautifully. So this is definitely, I think, my favorite stick foundation besides the Bare Minerals one. I love this foundation. It's beautiful. I'm so glad I tried a Milk complexion product. I know some people aren't really vibing with Milk that much anymore, but I really love their products. Pretty much every single product I try from Milk, I end up loving. So I think that they're an interesting brand, and I'm excited to see what they have in store for us for 2021. So that is it for foundations. Now let's just do concealers. And again, I didn't really try too many concealers this year. Um, Besides the Rare Beauty concealer, I don't really remember trying any other new concealers this year besides these two. And I actually really ended up falling in love with these. Again, I only tried one of one drugstore foundation, and then the other one is like way more expensive. So the drugstore concealer that I tried this year that I fell in love with, absolutely love, is the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. And this one is in the shade Fair Warm. This concealer is so gorgeous, you guys. It's just so stunning on the skin. Give me 1 second. There's just a little bit of dust. I did just dust this desk recently, and I dusted like my bedside table and all this area. So I was hoping that would help. But for some reason, dust still accumulates. So this is just so beautiful. I was trying to find something that would replace my Tarte Rainforest of the Sea concealer because they did discontinue that one. I'm kind of interested in trying the Tarte Hydro Sealer to see if that's similar, because this is like one of my all-time favorite everyday concealers. And I kind of want to try a new concealer at some point because, again, I did cut my concealer collection in half this year as well. And I only have 13 concealers left in my collection, which I still think is a little bit too much. But like I have like my daily ones that I use on a daily basis, and then I have my full coverage ones on the other side. So yeah, anyway, I love this concealer. I think that this is a great dupe for my Tarte concealer, and it's just beautiful. It makes your under eyes look super hydrated and healthy, and it just makes your complexion look beautiful when you put it with a foundation. So I absolutely love it. I also love wearing it on its own, and when I wear it underneath my eyes feel so hydrated and healthy. So I wear this all the time. I absolutely love this. Highly recommend it. And I feel like this is like one of the only like super hydrating concealers from the drugstore. I haven't really like seen like that many hydrating concealers at the drugstore. So I was really excited when they came out with this. I'm like, hydrating? I need it. So and then the other one, which again is super bougie, but I ended up really loving this concealer, and this was the only high-end concealer that I loved this year because, again, I only tried the Rare Beauty one, and I didn't like that one, so I decided to try this one on a whim, and I ended up loving it, is the Pat McGrath Labs. I think I actually love this more than the foundation. The Pat McGrath Labs Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Concealer. It's really beautiful on the skin. Makes your under eyes look so good. It's such a nice full coverage, but it does not feel thick at all. I think that's why I love it so much, is because it's very hard to get full coverage concealers to be this thin and hydrating, and it just feels so good underneath the eyes. Like, it's not as heavy as like the e.l.f. Camo concealer or the like Jouer one. This one like has like this beautiful like hybrid formula of being full coverage, but it's still so comfortable, and it doesn't make your under eyes look like crepey or dry at all. It's really stunning. So I really loved this, and this is in the shade L1. So yeah, I was really surprised by that. And then I'll just mention my staple concealers that I wear all the time, which is my Instant Age Rewind Maybelline concealer. I mean, how many times has this made my Best in Beauty now? I just go through these constantly. Absolutely love this. One of my favorite everyday concealers. I'm wearing it today. It's just a solid product, and I think this is like my fourth one, so I absolutely love this. Like I said, my Tarte Rainforest of the Sea concealer. I don't really want to talk about this too much because you can't get it anymore, but I love it so much, and I'm almost done with this one. And this was the same tube I talked about in my last video, so I got to use this up soon, like last year for my Best in Beauty. And then my Wet n Wild concealer. Photo Focus concealer. This is like my third one. Nobody talks about this, and I love this concealer. It's so good. And then the last two, I mean, I would be lying if I didn't say that these were my most used concealers. I still absolutely love my Urban Decay Stay Naked concealer. I think I'm probably going to repurchase this. I love this concealer. Urban Decay kills it with concealers. I absolutely love that one. And then my Fenty Beauty concealer. I think I'm almost done with this one too. I also loved my Milani Conceal and Perfect and my L'Oreal Infallible. But I used up both of those, but I'm going to repurchase both of those probably. And then the last one is my ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hydrolonic Creamy Concealer. I used this a ton this year, so I have to mention it because I used it a ton for cut creases. This might actually almost be done too. It's kind of getting down to the wire. I don't absolutely love this concealer, but it's really good underneath the eyes. But I loved this for cut creases because it has like a really nice dry, not like super dry formula, but it has a really good dry formula for cut creases. So I used this so much for cut crease looks and I loved it. It worked so well for that. So, and I'm in the shade Fair 07C. And that's pretty much it, you guys. And then my MAC Pro Longwear Concealer, I just got to whip this out and use this more. I'm not like as inclined to use it as much because of the packaging, but this is a ride or die concealer for me. I absolutely love it. All right, so we don't have to talk about every single concealer in here, but I just wanted to tell you guys my favorites still and my most used ones, and I would be lying if I didn't mention those. All right, so we just have a couple of primers and powders, and then we can get out of here because I got to go. Okay, so let's just go over powders real quick. So as far as pressed powders go, I did use up one pressed powder this year, which was, I believe, the Charlotte Tilbury was the one I used up. And I think another one, I can't remember. But of course, my all-time favorite powder this year, and pretty much the powder I used like to death this year, was the Flower Light Illusion Perfecting Powder from Flower Beauty. And I use this every single day because I was trying so hard to hit pan on this. But this is my go-to, pretty much one of my all-time favorite powders because it works with every single look. It just gives you this beautiful, like it's definitely a straight-up dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury. So that's why I used it so much. And I'm so glad I got it because Andrea Mattiliano said this was a straight-up dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury powder. That scared me. Okay, sorry about that. My mom started playing music in her room, and for some reason, her HomePod was linked to mine. So you can do that with the HomePods and play the same music. So I was like, yeah, you need to turn it off. So anyway, yeah, I just love this powder because it works with every single look. It works with a light coverage look. It works with a full coverage look, and it just like gives you this beautiful like very light powder, and that's why I love it so much because I have dry skin, and this is just such a gorgeous lightweight powder for me. So I absolutely love this. And then the other pressed powder I pretty much used on a daily basis was the Wet n Wild pressed powder. These were pretty much the only two powders I used this year. I didn't really use too many full coverage powders because, again, where were we going this year? And this is just one of my favorite everyday powders as well. I'm going to try and hit pan on it, and I mean, I already hit pan on it, but I'm going to try and use it up this year. So that's why I just keep that on my desk too. And then as for loose powders, sorry, my boyfriend's texting me. Sorry, give me a second. Okay, I'm almost done. Okay, and then for loose powders, I only have two to share because I only used these two pretty much the whole year. I did use my Maybelline Fit Me quite a bit, and I think I got that earlier this year, but I didn't love it as much as this one, and this is the e.l.f. HD powder. This powder is gorgeous underneath the eyes. I absolutely love this powder. I'm so glad I got it. It just makes my under eyes look so good, and it makes like every concealer that I use it with just beautiful and airbrush, and I love this. I use it underneath my eyes and in my T-zone, and this is such a great drugstore powder. So I'm either gonna repurchase it when I use it up, or I'll try like a different drugstore concealer, but this was pretty much the only powder I used this year. And then I found this one at Marshall's, which is the Urban Decay Velvetizer. This is a really beautiful powder as well. It's really nice and velvety underneath the eyes. And I really like it when I use it with full coverage concealers because it makes it look really smooth and really locks in your concealer underneath your eyes. So I really liked this too. I think I'm going to stop and possibly film the rest of this tomorrow night when I get home from work because I really just want to go. So bye. I'll film the rest tomorrow. All I have to talk about is primers, and you know what? I guess we'll just wrap it up. So when it comes to setting sprays, pretty much the only setting spray I used this year was the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Setting Mist. I love this. It's so hydrating and it feels so nice on the skin, and I use it for everything. I use it from full coverage looks to regular looks to barely there makeup, and I absolutely love it. It's just so hydrating. This was definitely my favorite setting mist this year. Again, ColourPop killed it with this line, so I absolutely love it. And then when it comes to prep sprays, the one I pretty much used all year was the MAC Pepper Prime Fix Plus Cucumber. I used up a full small size of this, so I got the full size one, and this is definitely going to last me all the way through, like probably halfway through this year at least. And I love it. I use this all the time to prep my skin every time I do my makeup. And I also use the NYX one, but you know, the MAC one I just used a ton this year. And then when it comes to primers, my two go-tos for work was the Fenty Beauty primer. I loved this primer. It's so nice on the skin, so smooth. It makes your skin look so smooth, and when you put foundation on top, it's beautiful. And it has a very smooth texture to it. I wouldn't say it's hydrating, but it makes your skin really nice and smooth underneath. And then the other one is the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer. I got this back in October during the VIB sale, and look how much I've used of it already. This is my other go-to for work. I love this because it makes it so easy for your foundation to grip onto. It's a very, very tacky primer, and I love it. So, and then the last two, my most used everyday primer this year, I absolutely loved this, was the Catrice Cosmetics Prime and Fine Aqua Fresh Hydro Primer. I love this because it's so moisturizing and so hydrating on my skin, and I love it. So I loved that. Oh my god, I get so sick of people texting me when I'm trying to film. Like, I'm literally almost done. And then the last one is the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Primer. This is so hydrating, but the only thing is that I don't like the smell. I think I have to email ColourPop about it because I really love it. Just, it smells old. So I think that they possibly sent me a wrong product. I don't know. But yeah, I love this, and it feels so hydrating on the skin. But I need to go, you guys, because I need to pee. So I love you guys. Let me know what your favorite foundations and concealers, etc. was this year. Please like and subscribe. I love you guys. Bye.